Специальная военная операция продолжается.
The special military operation is ongoing. Strikes on Russian infrastructure facilities continue, often targeting civilian infrastructure in Russia by the Kyiv regime. Al-018. The Russian armed forces are also fulfilling their objectives. As stated, they continue to strike military and military-related targets. The strikes are successful, targets are being destroyed, and the special military operation persists. At the same time, Russia remained committed to pursuing negotiations in order to achieve our aims through political and diplomatic channels.
There have been reports from various sources about a possible ceasefire in the air. President Lukashenko also recently discussed this in an interview. Overall, the topic is currently on the agenda. Could you please comment on it?
No agreements have been reached on this matter. And I reiterate once more, everything that can be discussed in the pursuit of finding ways to progress towards regulation should be handled discreetly. This is in the best interest of business.
The New York Times has just reported that Russian reconnaissance drones are flying over American weapons supply routes in Germany. Have you had a chance to read the report? And what's your comment on it?
To be honest, no, they didn't. But it's hard to believe, because if they had, the Germans would have seen it clearly and probably wouldn't have kept quiet. So, of course, it all sounds more like another newspaper hoax.
The story surrounding the saboteurs of the Nord Stream gas pipeline has been unfolding over the past 2 to 3 weeks. The investigation suggests that 7 individuals were involved in the sabotage, with some names already being identified. How does the Kremlin view this heightened activity by German investigators and their initial findings? And is there any communication with the Russian authorities during the investigation into the terrorist attacks?
No, there are no contact with the Russian side. Hey, I would just like to remind you of the forensic campaign that was launched against Russia immediately after this terrorist attack. I think it would not be difficult for our media representatives to name those Western media outlets and Western European politicians who made false, unsubstantiated accusations against our country following the attack. At the same time. It is also not difficult for me to recall the conclusions that were immediately drawn by Russia at various levels when we identified who could and most likely was behind this terrorist act against critical infrastructure. But at the same time, it is certainly heartening that the investigation is ongoing, and I want to believe it will be brought to a conclusion, and that not only the perpetrators but also the instigators of these terrorist acts will be identified. The fuel market is fully supplied. While there are price fluctuations for various reasons, the government is actively implementing measures to keep energy and petrol prices stable. You are aware of the ban on petrol exports, among other things. Therefore, steps are being taken. The market remains stable, and the situation is under control.
French filmmakers made a film called The Wizard of the Kremlin, in which Vladimir Putin was portrayed by the well-known actor Jude Law. You mentioned that you haven't seen it yet. The question is, how do you feel about the increasing use of our president's image abroad?
We approach it with normalcy and understanding. Putin is one of the most experienced and accomplished world leaders today. His influence on global affairs is truly significant and cannot be overstated. As a result, interest in him from countries worldwide is completely understandable.